bring it on. Yes, hello and welcome here to the first ioRambo video officially, and well, because of it, it's going to be the first time you're going to hear my voice in a ioRambo video. So, hello, this is how my voice is, and this is how I am going to sound. But anyway, this will be the video where we will be doing this year's Premier League predictions, the 2023-24 season, where I will be predicting where each of the 20 teams will be finishing in the Premier League. And I know this year is going to be quite tough, because there's a lot to predict for this year's Premier League season on, well, who will win the league, who will get relegated back down to the Championship, who will get into the European positions. So there will be a lot at stake, obviously, for this Premier League season, like every season. But this one seems to be a lot more harder and a tad bit more harder regarding all the places. But rightio Van, yes, literally, let's get underway and let's talk about who will get relegated. Right then, in last place, in bottom place, in 20th place, whatever you call it, I am going to go for the most obvious one of Luton Town. And I do believe they will be the first ones that will be officially relegated. And I think the reason because of that is the Championship squad. I do believe Luton Town, they don't have a squad that are ready to fight for the Premier League. And I believe that is a big factor in this Premier League day and age. I mean, this story, it's a miracle story how Luton Town got there. 9 years ago, they were in the National League and then they come up to the Premier League. It's like a FIFA Road to Glory, how you just build them steps up. But they did that in real life. So I congratulate them because of that. But I don't think they will do much really in the Premier League. I do like that Luton are in the Premier League, obviously. I like that Kenilworth Road is in the Premier League, an old, historic, ancient English football ground that will be played in the Premier League. So I'm glad about that. But I just think the squad altogether, I don't think they can do it. They'll have a bit of fun in the Premier League. I think they'll be like the Huddersfield Town this year. Our Huddersfield Town were there. They had a little bit of fun in the Premier League. They stayed up 1 year. Next season got relegated, typically. So I think they'll be like that. I think they will be this year's Huddersfield Town. Now, they'll have a bit of fun, but I think the squad will affect them. So that is why I'm going Luton Town as my bottom place. Then we'll be going up north to Sheffield and where Sheffield United play. And yeah, I believe similar to Luton Town, I think their squad will hurt in the Premier League. And I think because of that, they will get relegated. It's even worse there for Sheffield United. The fact that Sander Berge, who is their best player for my opinion, has gone to companies Burnley. So that, to be honest, says something about their squad and says Burnley want to stay in the Premier League. Sheffield United are more like, let's just play this for fun. And I think altogether, they will get relegated back to the Championship. However, what I will say there to you Sheffield United fans is Paul Higginbottom has done a brilliant job there at Sheffield United. Obviously, sending them up into the Premier League after that heartbreak what they suffered last year against Nottingham Forest in the Championship playoff semi-final. And well, they couldn't really do anything this year. The fact dominant Burnley were at first place, so basically second, they had to take second place, but either way it's an automatic promotion place, so it's really win-win. And yeah, I think it won't be enough there for Sheffield, their squad, and because of that, they will go down. And I think their away form and all, like it says on there, will hurt them. I don't think they'll win a lot of games away. Saying that though, the season where they did get relegated, which was the 2020-21 season, I believe, they beat Manchester United. And because of that, that gave Manchester City the Premier League title because of that win. However, I think they'll need a little bit more than that, to be honest. I think the reason why they may possibly survive is their home record. Obviously, Bramall Lane is a very, very tough place to play. When you are against Sheffield United at Bramall Lane, you do not like it. The players hate it. And I think because of that, Sheffield, it gets into you. It gets into your skin when you're playing at Bramall Lane. And I think them Sheffield United fans will be the 12th man in this Premier League. That is the only reason, for my opinion, that they could potentially stay in the Premier League. But I don't think that will be enough regarding point-wise. So because of that, they are placed in 19th for my Premier League positions. Therefore, they will get relegated. Now, occupying the final relegation place, I am going to go for AFC Bournemouth. And I do believe, I think, for my opinion, Andoni Areola, I think he's made a bad choice going to Bournemouth. For my opinion, he should have gone to Leeds. I think Leeds United, if they got Andoni Areola, they could have built something. Obviously, they like the Spanish connection. I think a few Spanish players like Rodrigo, I think he would have stayed. But he decided to go to Bournemouth instead because Leeds went down. But I think that is the wrong decision for him. And I think they basically have the same squad as they did last year. And I mean, last year they did get a bit lucky, the fact that they did stay up. I mean, they did get a few wins towards the end of the season, like beating Tottenham, battering Leeds, which did guarantee them safety into this year's Premier League. But I don't think them results will be enough this year. I think because of that, the second season syndrome, like I have said before, will hurt teams. The second season syndrome will be where, yeah, you survive the first season, second season you go down. A lot of teams suffer from it. And I do believe it will suffer to them this season, Bournemouth. I think Andoni Areola, I think he could be one of the first casualties to go, and I think he will be sacked. I just think Bournemouth isn't really the right club for him. I think he could have stayed in Spain for another year, then go to Leeds if Leeds United went up. But, well, that is my prediction anyway. I know a few Bournemouth fans might have a go at me, but ultimately, this is my prediction at the end of the day. And I am saying AFC Bournemouth will occupy the final relegation place in 18th place. So then, in 17th place, the team that I think will narrowly just escape relegation will be Wolverhampton Wanderers. Because, I mean, Wolves, yeah, they're not looking that particularly great at the moment. And I think the loss of Raul Jimenez and Ruben Neves will hurt them. Ruben Neves especially, because, well, they sold their talisman, obviously, off to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, like a lot of players have done. So because of that, their midfield is a bit, down and out, really. And I think I can get why with Jimenez, obviously, because they have that Sasha Kalajic, who will be back soon, I believe. Matthias Cunha is a good striker who can play for Wolves, so I do believe, striker-wise, they could be a bit alright. Midfield, we're a bit meh. The fact that, well, Neves has gone, who they're going to have now. And then the defence is a bit meh too, because obviously Nathan Collins, he was a good player. He's gone to Brentford, so obviously he's gone strengthening their defence of Brentford, while Wolves have really no signings in defence to say, right, what can we do now? I mean, they've got that Portuguese right back, but barring from that, that is really it. And they do have Semedo, but that is really it. And to be honest, I don't think Wolves will have a good season. I mean, I think they'll just escape relegation because I think Bournemouth will be worse than them. However, I still believe Wolves will just narrow by a thread in the Premier League. So now, let's have a trip down the Mersey as my 16th place will go to Everton. And I do believe, well, under Sean Dyche, they will play better football than last season. I do believe they will play more like a typical Everton team, not like the Everton we saw 2 years ago when they ended up not having a great season. I do believe this Everton team will be better. I think Sean Dyche will make the team better, because obviously Sean Dyche's ways, isn't it? Dyche, it's his ways, he knows what he can do, so, you know. But, yeah, I think because of that, they will have a better season. I think it'll be a tough first season for Sean Dyche, do not get me wrong. That's why I put him in 16th place. However, I do believe they will play better than last season. Obviously, I think players like Alex Iwobi, Dwight McNeil, they will become better players for Everton for this year. And yeah, I don't think Everton will be a team that will be in a relegation battle this year. I think they will survive. I think they'll survive with about 2 games left, however. So that is why I think Everton will improve. And Everton I have put in as 16th place. So my 15th place team goes to Nottingham Forest from the Trent. And, well, I do think with Nottingham Forest, they will be better. I think they will be better than next season. And I do think they will survive earlier. And I do believe they will be a better team, like I did say before. I think they will have 43 points. Last season they had 39. I think they'll get 43 points this season. I think they will win a lot more games. And I think their new signings will improve. And I've done last and this year, because I think some of the new signings will also improve. I think Anthony Elanga, obviously they signed him from Manchester United, my team. I think he will improve at Forest because he'll get more regular game time, which I think he kind of needed that game time, Anthony Elanga. And then the signings last season, I think, will also work, like Emmanuel Dennis, Gustav Scarpa. I think overall they will both improve as a connective there for Nottingham Forest. Obviously Morgan Gibbs-White, he's playing more as a forward now. He was a midfielder at Wolves, and I think that will make him best there for Nottingham Forest. So I do think Forest will have a good season this year, I believe. I think goalkeeper-wise, however, if they sign Dean Henderson, I think they will get more results and they could potentially go up places. But I think for the time being, they haven't signed Dean Henderson as of yet when I'm recording this. So, yeah, I do believe because of that, Nottingham Forest will stay 15th. But either way, 15th for Forest is a pretty good season for my opinion, and I think it is there for Forest fans. The next team who I am going to give 14th place for is, well, it says there, Fulham FC. And I do believe they will get 14th. I do believe, sadly for Marco Silva, they will be a bit of a weaker squad than they have been, well, last year. Last year they were a really good team, Fulham, but then they dipped down towards the end. I think this time, I think teams will know how to play against Fulham. I still think Fulham will stay up, don't get me wrong. And I think they'll be well clear of the relegation places. I just think they will be 14th. I think the fact that João Paulinho is obviously absent for the start of the season because he did pick up a shoulder injury against Brentford in that summer series tour, I think that will be a big absence for him because I believe João Paulinho is probably one of Fulham's best players. Him and Mitrovic are Fulham's best players. Mitrovic, his future is uncertain. We do know he does want to leave Fulham, but Marco Silva saying he isn't leaving, and João Paulinho is obviously injured. So if that's the case, their two star players are out. What are we going to do then? I mean, Carlos Vinicius is alright, but apart from that, that's it. And I've done lack of defensive options because, well, you've obviously got Anthony Robinson, you've got Tim Ream, you've got all them other stuff. Tim Ream, Kenny Tete, you've got all them players, Depo Culver-Reid. But will they be... But I don't think they'll be able to do... I don't think they'll have any defensive options to replace them. So let's say once Tim Ream gets injured, what we're going to do then? Nothing really much, for my opinion. So that is why... That is another struggle, for my opinion, with Fulham. And that is why I think with Fulham, they will finish the season off in 14th. And just like that, my 13th place will go to the champions of the championship, Burnley. And yes, I do believe Burnley will be a surprise for people this year. I truly believe that. I think Burnley have recruited so well. They recruited really good in the championship, which obviously got them into the Premier League. But I think Vincent Kompany is cooking something with this Burnley squad, and he's cooking something very good. And because of that, like I said at the first, I do believe Vincent Kompany will be nominated for Manager of the Season. And I know this makes me look like a bit of a hypocrite, because a year ago, I know I've not done this on my YouTube channel, a year ago I did slag off Vincent Kompany. I'm so sorry that I did that. But I do believe he will be nominated for Manager of the Season for this Premier League season. Because I just think Burnley will be a surprise team. I think they will be like the Fulham of last season, mate, Burnley. How they came up as, obviously, Championship champions, and they played really well, and they ended up being a surprise package. That is what I think Burnley will be. I think Burnley will be like that. I mean, so there's some good players, obviously, in the lineup, like Anas Zarari, midfielder, Moroccan midfielder, Darko Chelinov, Jakub Brun-Larsen, they bought from Hoffenheim, so he could be a good winger to put in the Premier League. But I do believe Burnley will have a very impressive season, and because of that, 13th place goes to the Clarets of Burnley. So then, my 12th place will be going to Crystal Palace. And I mean, for my opinion, this was a toss-up between Crystal Palace and West Ham. But I've gone for Crystal Palace just in 12th place, because I do believe they do need a little bit more reinforcements, for my opinion, maybe in the midfield. But, yeah, one good prediction I have gone for is I believe Eberechi Eze and Michael Elise, or Michel Elise, I don't know, they will both be stars. They will be stars, and they will tear up the Premier League for Crystal Palace. I think them two will score half of Crystal Palace's goals this season. Both of them together, Eze and Elise. Watch out. And obviously, typically Crystal Palace style, Selhurst Park will be a fortress this season. And I mean, it always is. I mean, there is always some teams that goes out losing against Crystal Palace at here because it is a very, very tough place. Manchester City, they only grasped a win. They obviously got a penalty from Haaland to win it 1-0. Against United, they drew 1-1. At least they scored a stunning free kick to make it 1-1. So it can be a tough team to play, Selhurst. It can be a tough place to play Selhurst Park. And when Crystal Palace are on it at Selhurst Park, they are on it and they can score goals for fun. And I think that will happen. I think home record will be really good. Away will be a little bit 50-50-ish for my opinion. But, yeah, I think Selhurst Park and Crystal Palace will have an okay season. Selhurst Park especially will have a brilliant season. That's why I said 3 out of the 6 of the big 6 will lose. I do believe 3 out of the 6 could potentially lose. United will probably lose there because, well, we always struggle against Crystal Palace, so that is why. But, well, that is my prediction where Crystal Palace will finish in 12th place. In 11th place, I have gone for West Ham United, and actually, even with no signings, I do believe they will be better than last year, West Ham United. And, well, even if West Ham did win the Europa Conference League last season, I believe this will be a better season there for Hammers fans in the Premier League. And I mean, they have got Europa League football to enjoy too, which will be good there for West Ham. I don't know if that will ruin their momentum in the Premier League, the Europa League. But what I do know is they are in the Europa League. They do have positive mindsets after winning that Conference League. And because of that, I think they will be better than before. Obviously, we do know West Ham, unlike Crystal Palace, we do have players like Saïd Benrahma, Jared Bowen, Nayef Aguerd, Kurt Zouma, Lucas Paqueta. And actually, talking about Paqueta, I believe he will get 10 goals this season. Because, trust me, Lucas Paqueta is an absolute baller. He can play. He can play, that lad, Lucas Paqueta. And I believe he will do good this season. I think this season will be standout, breakout Premier League season. And I think he will score 10 goals. He scored 4 goals, obviously, last year, being a January signing. I think now he will do good. The fact that he's going to have his first full season as a Hammers player, and because of that, I think he will get 10 goals to boost in West Ham's morale. I think West Ham will have a higher spirit. I think they will beat a couple good teams, West Ham, because their spirit will be so high. They will have a good connection group. So because of that, I believe they will finish just above Crystal Palace there and take that 11th. So in 10th place then, we have got Brentford. And I mean, with Brentford, I still think there will be a hard competitive team to play against. Because they always are. Thomas Frank has built an exceptional team with Brentford. However, I just think this season they might do a bit worse than, well, as people did expect. Because I do think with the loss of Ivan Toney, I think that will hurt him. I mean, Ivan Toney, he is a top striker. We all know that. And I think the fact that he is out till January, that will ruin Brentford for like half of the season. I think that will affect Brentford for a little bit. I think scoring-wise, they won't score as much prolific goals as Ivan Toney did. And instead, Brian Mbeumo will have to do all the scoring work for him, and Jona Visa. But I do think them two will be okay. But I don't think they will place Ivan Toney. Like that said, I think Brentford will still be a tough team, don't get me wrong, they always have been. Thomas Frank has built a very good team with a good team morale and chemistry. But I do think they will be a bit weaker than they were last year. So that is why I have gone for them having 54 points. They had 59 points and finished 9th last year. I think this year they will be finishing 10th and they will have a points differential of 54. Then in 9th, we have gone for Brighton and Hove Albion. And I know a few people will disagree on this. The fact Brighton were one of the best teams in the Premier League. I mean, Pep Guardiola said Brighton are the best team in the Premier League for a reason, because they were one of the best teams in the Premier League. But I do think this year they will be a little bit weaker than obviously they were before. I mean, Brighton, if they do keep Moses Caicedo, that would be a brilliant keep for them. And I think, obviously, with the likes of Kayo Maitoma, Estupinian, and Caicedo, I think that would be an okay midfield defence and attack there from Brighton. I do think Alexis McAllister, will obviously I'm going to Liverpool, will be a bit of a weaker factor, but I think we will replace him because that is what Brighton do. They get someone in who is really good, and he will be really good because that's what Brighton tend to do. But I think Brighton will be a bit weaker this year, and I think it will be because of one pure reason, the Europa League. Because the Europa League is a very, very hard league, and I know not a lot of people do think the Europa League is a hard league, because they think Europa League, Thursday nights, you're playing against easy teams, you're going to batter them. It's not like that. The Europa League is harder, and it's harder for teams like, let's say, the Brightons, than like the big clubs like the Uniteds and the Liverpools and so on, because they do not have a good squad depth. Brighton, they do a bit, but they like to use their first team, and then basically they don't really have much of their second team. In the Europa League, you need a first and a second team. A second team, so that then you could potentially rest players if you're playing against a team from, I don't know, Serbia and Montenegro. But then, when you're playing against the big boys in the Premier League, you need your big, strong team out. And I think that is what will hurt Brighton, in that case, the Europa League. I think, fair enough, I think they'll do well, but if they concentrate too much on the Europa League, then you won't concentrate enough on the Premier League. And I think because of that, that will affect them regarding where they will finish. So I am saying Brighton Hove Albion will finish in 9th, and no European football for this season. So, in 8th, here we go. It's Tottenham Hotspur, and I know a lot of Spurs fans will probably hate me there, the fact that I am going to put Tottenham in 8th place, but I am going to put Tottenham in 8th place purely because of one man, and that one man is Harry Kane. They have to keep Harry Kane. Whatever they do, Tottenham, they have to keep him. I don't know what they can do. Put him in a jail cell, because Daniel Levy cannot let go of Harry Kane. If he lets go of Harry Kane, Spurs will be knackered, and they will be knackered this season. That will mean they will get no European football, and I believe they will finish in the same place there with 8th place. And I think last year they got 60 points. I think they'll get 60 points again. Personally, I think they'll get 60 points again. I think if Harry Kane does end up signing for Bayern Munich, I think Tottenham will be in a bit of jeopardy and a bit knackered, and I do believe. Yeah, it will take a toll on the players if Harry Kane leaves, because Harry Kane is one influential part of Tottenham. He is one part of Tottenham. He's like, I don't know, out of the 3 things you could talk about Tottenham Hotspur, he is the main one, Harry Kane. So if he goes, it's like taking away part of your history, that is, and I don't think for Tottenham that would be good. I don't think it would be good for the players, I don't think it would be good for the staff, I don't think it would be good for, obviously, Daniel Levy. So I think because of that, I think that will end up Spurs in jeopardy. So, but for my opinion, if they want to get into Europe, they have to keep Harry Kane. However, saying this, I do believe their new signing of Mickey van der Ven, he will be a good signing. He will be a good signing there for Tottenham, and I believe he will change their defence. Because I do believe, obviously, you've got Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer. Sell them two. You don't need them two at Tottenham. Sell them two. Put Christian Romero there as your first primary centre-back. Then put Mickey van der Ven in the second centre-back role. So that then you've got 2 centre-back pairings of Romero and van der Ven. I think if that is the case, Tottenham will have a better defence than obviously last season. And I think that will benefit there for Spurs. However, I don't think their attack, if Harry Kane goes, will be that good. Obviously, Son Heung-min, he will be the only one. I believe he could leave if Harry Kane goes. That is how bad I think it will be if Harry Kane does go to Bayern Munich or Manchester United potentially. But we will see. But for my opinion, that is why I am going to put Tottenham Hotspur in 8th place. So in 7th place, I am going for another bold prediction. It is Newcastle United. And similar to Brighton, I do believe their twice-a-week games will affect Newcastle. I mean, fair enough. Last year, they did get to the Carabao Cup final where they did lose against Manchester United. But still, I believe that will still be a big factor there for Newcastle. I mean, they will have to play the Carabao Cup like usual, but they'll have to play the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and the UEFA Champions League. And I do believe that will be hard for Newcastle to take, because that is going to be like every week now. You will be playing twice a week, so that will mean they will have to find a second team somewhere. And they are kind of getting a second team. I mean, they did sign that Tino Livramento from Southampton, which is a good signing there for Newcastle. And he could be a squad player to potentially replace Kieran Trippier so that he can play in that Carabao Cup games, Livramento. Still, however, I believe that will be a toll for Newcastle. I think the fact that you're playing high competitive Champions League nights on Tuesday, I think that will be hard for them. However, I still believe Sandro Tonali will still be a strong addition there for Newcastle United. I mean, he, for my opinion, is one of the signings of the summer, Sandro Tonali. I mean, no one would have thought Sandro Tonali would have even left AC Milan, let alone join a club up north in the northeast of Newcastle. I don't think anyone would have thought that. But, yeah, it was a bold signing there from Yasser Al-Romayan, who is obviously the owner there of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, who Newcastle are owned. But, yeah, I mean, that is a strong signing there from the Saudi Investment Fund to get him in the Tynan way. But, however, I still think Newcastle teams will be able to detect them, they'll know how to play. And I mean, Eddie Howe is a great manager, don't get me wrong. But I still think Newcastle United will be happy with the Europa Conference League place, even if they are playing in the Champions League this season. So I am saying Newcastle will finish in 7th because of that twice-a-week games. I think it will put a toll on their squad. In 6th place, we have gone for Chelsea Football Club. And I do believe with Chelsea, they will be a lot stronger than they were before. Obviously, I think the recruitment, what they signed this season and last year, will be very good there with Chelsea. I mean, their like signings last year were amazing. I mean, obviously with Mudryk, Madueke, Malo Gusto, Enzo Fernandez, I believe them 4 players will all have a toll in this Chelsea team next season. I think Mikhailo Mudryk, he will become a lot better there, obviously, for Chelsea. I believe Madueke, he will have a little bit of experience there for Chelsea. And yeah, I just think Chelsea altogether, their youth will be good. And I think they will have a very good team there for Chelsea. I mean, I think Nicholas Jackson and all, he will be a very good striker. Obviously, Christopher Nkunku, for the time being, he is injured. He did get injured during pre-season, so he obviously can't play really at the start of the season. I think Nicholas Jackson will be a good number 9 to potentially replace Christopher Nkunku in that number 9 role. But yeah, I do think with Chelsea, they have a strong team. However, I think the midfield and defence will be a little bit sloppy. I mean, parring there from Enzo Fernandez, who else do Chelsea really have in their midfield? I mean, we pretty much sold all the midfielders, didn't we? I mean, Kai Havertz, he went to Arsenal, Mason Mount went to Manchester United, and N'Golo Kante gone to Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. So, if that is the case, where's their midfield gone? I know they've concentrated on, obviously, the forwards. Obviously, they signed Madueke, Jackson and Nkunku. But then, where is everything? Where is everything, Ren? Where's the midfield? Where is the defence? Defence, you've obviously got a very good Thiago Silva, very good 38-year-old Thiago Silva. But then who else are you going to use? I mean, Fofana will be injured. Badiashvili, they could obviously play. But then down from that, what are they going to do then? What are they going to do then, Chelsea? And I do believe their midfield and defence will ruin Chelsea's potential top 4 hunts. So I do believe they will just about miss out. So I am saying they will get 6th place UEFA Europa League spot for Chelsea. The fact that they didn't get Europe, I'd say it's alright. So the team I will say that will just narrowly miss out of the top 4 will be Aston Villa. And I do believe that with Aston Villa, they are going to cook something very good. And because of that, I am saying they will be my surprise of the season, Aston Villa, and I believe they will be. I think what Unai Emery will do is, obviously they have qualified to the Conference League this season. I think they'll beat either Hibernian or Luzerne, get into the group stage, and then I don't think they'll qualify past the group stage, because I think with Aston Villa, Unai Emery wants to forget about the Conference League. He wants full guns Champions League football next year at Birmingham. That's what he wants, and I believe they could potentially get it. I mean, I think they will miss just by a little thread, but with Aston Villa, I think they will still have a very, very good season. I mean, they've got class players, Aston Villa, like, obviously, Moussa Diaby, just signed there from Bayer Leverkusen. Very, very good player there, and that will make the forward line a lot better, obviously, with Ollie Watkins being your striker, Leon Bailey potentially in the left, Moussa Diaby on the right. That would be a very good front three there, what Villa have. Midfield, again, they would have good midfield. We've obviously got Tielemans, Buendia, Douglas Luiz. They are all good players there from Villa. And then obviously the defence, Pau Torres, they have a very, very experienced defender. What a lot of big clubs actually in Europe wanted to sign. Obviously Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, they were all linked with the Spanish defender. But he decided to go back and go with Unai Emery, his former manager at Villarreal. And, well, because of that, he's in the Premier League, Pau Torres. And I think they will do very well in the Premier League this season, Aston Villa. That is why they will be my surprise of the season. I think they will cause a few shocks. I think Villa Park will get its place bouncing again. And because of that, I am saying they will get Europa League football and Unai Emery will lead Aston Villa to, well, Mr. Unai Emery Cup. It's the cup that he always seems to win, doesn't it? 4 times he has won the Europa League. Could it be a 5th there with Aston Villa next season? Who knows, but I believe they will finish 5th. Aston Villa will be going to the Europa League next year. So one of the teams that will get Champions League football next season, I am going to say, will be Manchester United. And I believe they will finish in 4th place next year. I mean, personally, I hope they don't get 4th. I mean, I am a Manchester United fan after all. I want us to finish, obviously, 3rd, 2nd. I mean, it won't happen, will it? But you never know. But, yeah, I do believe we will get 4th place. And I think we will play better. I just think the standard of football next season will be better. I think a lot of teams will have improved. I still think we've improved, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously United have signed Andre Onana, Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund. And I do believe Andre Onana, this will be a transition year this year. I think, obviously, going to a different country, going there from Inter Milan to Manchester United, it will be a bit different. I mean, he will still play the same style, Andre Onana, obviously, sweeper-keeper-esque, but I think it will be a little bit harder for him there to adjust this year. Next year, he will be a good goalkeeper. Rasmus Højlund, I did say there, I think he will score 10 goals. I think he could score 10 goals. I mean, obviously, he's a better replacement than the good old Wout Weghorst, isn't he? I mean, Wout Weghorst, I still love him as a United fan, but as a player, he's absolutely tragic to watch. So I can understand. So obviously he's gone. Then Mason Mount, I think Mason Mount will be a good player there on the midfield. I mean, obviously he's a rotation player to replace maybe Christian Eriksen or Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes. So he will do okay then. But yeah, I think barring from that, I think United should just play what we did last season, see what we do. I mean, obviously some United fans will hate me for this. I'm a Manchester United fan myself, but some United fans will hate this, the fact that I am saying that we will finish in 4th place. I just think altogether, I think the standard of football will increase. Manchester United will get better, don't get me wrong, but I still think next year could be the year where we could finish 3rd or 2nd or maybe 1st. So, yeah, but for the time being, I'm going to say Manchester United will finish in 4th, Champions League football guaranteed. Returning to the Champions League, then, I have got Liverpool in 3rd place. And I know I shouldn't be saying that because I did say I was a United fan. But yeah, I do have a little feeling that they will finish above United this season. I just think they can't have a worse season than last year, surely. They can. I mean, the season what they had last year was absolutely tragic for Liverpool fans. They did not have a good season. Because of that, they are playing Europa League football this season. Yeah, you can cry all you want to, but it is what it is. But that it is like Liverpool are in the Europa League. Liverpool stereotypically are a team that should be playing Champions League football, and I believe next year they will be playing Champions League football. I just think altogether they will have a better team. Obviously, they've rebuilt in the midfield, signed Alexis McAllister, signed Dominic Szoboszlai from RB Leipzig. So altogether, they are building little pieces there in the midfield, Liverpool, to become a better team than they were last year. And I believe it could do that. I think for Szoboszlai, it'll take a few months and a bit of time so that then we can see the real Szoboszlai. I think for Alexis McAllister, he was already really good at Brighton. I could see him being really good at Liverpool. And obviously, Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk's the captain now. I believe that is the right decision, what they have done. So I think his captaincy will lead Liverpool to a better thing. And yeah, I think the good thing is, though, for me as a United fan, they can't score 7 again, surely. They cannot score 7 at Anfield again. They can't. But yeah, like I said, I think Liverpool will be way better than last season. Even if, like I said, they won't score 7, because I know they can't score 7 this time. Nunez will score 15 plus, I believe he will be the real deal next year. I think he will be challenging with Haaland for that golden boot, Darwin Nunez. I think last year was a bit of a transition year for him. This year, he will be the real deal for Liverpool. And like I said, I think Liverpool will get back to Champions League football next season. And just like that, Liverpool are in my third place in the Premier League predictions. So, the team that will be having second place once again, I have gone for Arsenal. And I just think there with Arsenal, I think altogether their recruitment, what they have done, has been very, very good recruitment there from the Gunners. Do not get me wrong. I mean, they've signed the likes of Declan Rice, Timber, Kai Havertz, who are all very, very good players who Arsenal have got into their team. And they obviously want to fight for the title because they have signed them players. However, I think they will just get pipped to the post by Manchester City. I think City altogether, they are a different team. And I will obviously talk about City later on in the video. But I just think they're with Arsenal, they're a very good team. They were a very good team last year, and I think they will keep that momentum going this year. They do have Champions League football to look forward to. They do have rotation. They can rotate their team, which is the all-important aim there for Mikel Arteta's men. So, I think because of that, I think that will work for Arsenal. The fact if they are playing either Tuesday or Wednesday nights because they are in the Champions League. And one player I think will be a hidden gem, actually, will be Leandro Trossard. I think he's obviously been one of Arsenal's best players recently. He obviously scored that last-minute goal against City in the Community Shield. He scored 2 goals against Barcelona. I believe he could be the next big deal. I mean, I don't want to say he's going to be the next Henry, because that is a bit too far ahead. But he could be something special, Leandro Trossard. And I think this season, he will blow up. So that's why I've got him as a hidden gem. Man City versus Arsenal for title again, I believe it will be. And I think Declan Rice and Julian Timber will be worth their money. I mean, we've not had great starts to pre-season, but I'm sure when they settle to the actual Premier League environment, they will be on it. So that is my second prediction. I have gone for Arsenal, which means the champions will be Manchester City. And I know I'm going to be a bit boring me saying this, but I do believe they will be champions. I mean, they just won the treble, for crying out loud. I mean, who wouldn't bet against Manchester City to win the league? I mean, they are just, well, one dominant force, aren't they? They're like a cheat code, as Mark Goldbridge would say. They are like a cheat code. They are like a cheat code. They keep winning and they keep lifting trophies. I'm surprised their arms aren't aching of how many trophies they've lifted Manchester City. I really don't know how. But yeah, I mean, the treble winners won't stop winning, for my opinion. I mean, it's only just natural that once you've won a treble, you've got that reputation thinking, oh, we can win this all again, this. And, I mean, I think it'll be a struggle. I think it will more struggle than it were last season because, well, some of the players have gone, obviously. Ilkay Gundogan, Barcelona. Riyad Mahrez has gone to Al Ahly. So, it will be a little bit of, little bit of transitioning there for Manchester City. But either way, I'm sure they will win the league. I mean, I believe they will only lose 4 games. I think their squad will only get better as the time goes on, because that is what Manchester City usually do. Man City are a team that they have a rough start, rough part of middle season, and then they keep rolling on like a steam train, and they are not stopping. They are going to one destination. And yeah, I think they'll only lose 4 games. I think if it's anything, the 2 games they'll probably lose in the middle. They'll probably lose against Tottenham, because somehow they lose against Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and then they'll lose an obscure game, because that's what City do. But yeah, that is my Premier League predictions, and I am saying the champions will be going to Manchester City. And that will be it then with this video. I do hope you obviously enjoy it. If you want, you can give me a little subscription. I mean, I am fine with anything, to be perfectly honest. But there it is. That is the first official ioRambo video coming to you. And there will be plenty more in store in the near future. See ya, and bye-bye.